6 years ago, I graduated from high school, living in the remote province of Zeeland. If at that time someone had told me that in time I would be standing here in front of you all, I think I would have never believed you. To stand here on this stage is a big step. And am I nervous? You bet I am. Still, here I am. Standing here meant pushing boundaries, getting out of my comfort zone, step by step. Joining committees, being part of the board of my study association, and last year I was appointed as the president of the Federation of Study Associations Eindhoven. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. Pushing your limits, daring to dream, but in addition also daring to realize your dreams. As I stand here, I might be barking up the wrong tree, you see. My fellow students attending this ceremony, they might not be the best audience for this talk. My colleagues here, they are committed. They work on their dreams. They act in a team of students. They stand a year at the head of their associations, or they participate in a knowledge track. In fact, I should be telling this story after today's ceremony, to the thousands of students who will join in the celebrations of the opening of the academic year, and will have a drink at the forum party. I'm afraid many of them are in no way committed to developing themselves in other ways than trying to graduate. So here is my dream for this academic year. That every single theory student realizes that there is more to your time in Eindhoven than attending class, than writing papers and just passing your exams. And I call upon all theory students, not just the active students and the student boards who are present here. Let's use all the facilities that the theory, Eindhoven, and all the associations and team can offer you. And please, don't find out later, just before or after your graduation, that you missed out. That maybe it would have been wise to develop yourself in other ways than trying to graduate. So let's all push our boundaries this academic year, as I do today. Dare to dream, but also dare to realize your dreams. Dare to do. So far, I've given you my personal view on today's theme, Dream, Dare, Do. My name is Roland Kooijman, and I will be your master of ceremonies today. At this particular moment, I would like to welcome you all to the opening of the academic year, 2016-2017. You can join in the discussions via Twitter, but first let me welcome the members of the executive board, the members of the supervisory board, the deans of this university and of our departments. Welcome to the professors and members of staff, and welcome to the board members of our associations and the members of the University Council. Welcome to the students and alumni of this university. And of course, a special welcome to our guests. The Mayor of Helmond, the Mayor of Den Bosch, the Deputy Mayor of Eindhoven, and finally to the Deputy of the Province of North Brabant. So now, let us get to the main act of today and get acquainted with our speakers. They will share their thoughts on the actions they've taken to reach their goals, their personal experience on the dream, dare, and do. Today, we have 3 guest speakers from totally different backgrounds, from the public domain to the peak of scientific research and the very top of industry. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Minister Henk Kamp, and I'm quite curious about your challenges as the Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs. Next, I would like to welcome Hans Klevers, and I hope we will hear from you which dreams you pursued in your career, as both a researcher and your former job as the President of the Royal Netherlands Academy of Arts and Sciences. And finally, I would like to welcome Marjan van Loon, and I cannot wait to hear from you as our alumna of our university about your path to the presidency of Shell Netherlands. So, I hope you're all ready to hear from these distinguished speakers, both on their personal challenges and the actions they've taken to reach their goals. Without further ado, let us kick off the ceremony. In a few moments, you will be hearing from our Regnum Magnificus, Frank Bayens, and he would tell you all about the dreams, dares, and do's of this university. But I'm pretty sure we can agree on one thing. The Eindhoven University of Technology is all about students, all about ambition, and all about putting words into action. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look with me how we do stuff in Eindhoven.
I like to help people, and I think technology is one of the most efficient way to help people actually.
A small company normally holds more than 1,000 employees, and we have the ambition to change the industry with only 15 people right now.
We really want to make the world a bit better, and we've chosen to do that by making sustainable technology to help improve sustainability in the world. I always wanted to do something extra, a bit outside of my regular courses, and this is one of them. And of course, building a car, or in this case a bus, is a very nice thing to do. It's very fun.
And what we are very good at is reducing the size of process equipment.
The project started because we wanted to show people that drones can actually be used for much more than just a flying camera or a toy.
Well, it's hard to scale up. I mean, we've made a 1 meter prototype, which did quite good. But you cannot make everything just 1,000 times as big, so you have to think about new ways to scale it up, and that's very hard.
We first were this team that did something new, something with drones, and they crashed. And then we were a team that was on the news constantly and had this big successful drone cafe. So for us as members of the teams, that also did a lot of work to us.
We have to change a very conservative industry. Our first objective was to get a client signing our deal within 4 or 5 months. And in practice, that took almost 18 months.
I think the most important thing for me is that if you follow through upon your ideas and you really devote your time to it, you can reach things you've never done before.
In 10 years, I like to see Team Fast building and developing formic acid systems and actually implementing them in all kinds of applications, for example vehicles.
I really like technology and tangible products which can make the difference. And what we do at Flowit is really relevant.
The advice I would give to new students is to explore and do some extra activities besides your regular courses.
To use your study as a tool and not see it as an endpoint. And that way you can do projects like this and come up with your own ideas and execute them.
The younger you start, the easier it is. Change the face of industry.
I hope you enjoyed the movie as much as I did. Ladies and gentlemen, dear students, I'm really glad to see you back. Dear colleagues, I'm happy to see you here again. Welcome to this new academic year at our university, and it's exciting to see such a full hall again. More than 2,000 freshmen are joining us today, which is yet another record for our university. We also have a large international presence. And we are proud and delighted that so many have chosen to pursue their dreams and follow their academic education here at our university in Eindhoven. We all have our dreams, and we all would like our dreams to come true. Dream and Dare is the theme of our anniversary year. And today we're going to add the 2 components to it. And it's proposed by the Student Association that's organizing this event. It reflects our commitment to transform our dreams into real-life applications and to contribute to society. Today, we have the great pleasure and honor to welcome 3 outstanding speakers: Henk Kamp, Hans Klevers, and Marjan Verloon. I really appreciate that you share your thoughts and experiences with us today, each from a very different perspective: government, science, and industry. I would like to talk about our own dreams and how we dare and do. And I will do this in view of the main mission that we have as a university, which is to serve society by educating students and advancing knowledge in science and technology, and by pursuing the transfer of our know-how to society. Dreams. Dreams are important. Dreams are important for pushing the boundaries of our knowledge. Dreams, fantasy, imagination. All great scientists have emphasized their importance. And Albert Einstein once said, imagination is more important than knowledge, because knowledge is limited. And imagination encircles the world. Dream and dare. When I enrolled at our university, it was out of curiosity in engineering and science. Science, because it had something magical to it. And just like many of our freshmen today, I didn't really have a specific area in mind yet. Some of the courses that I took, I found really interesting and challenging. Some of the others, I guess you know what I mean. But I gradually learned how to carve my own path. But it was the enthusiasm of individual scientists and the rigor of these individual scientists that slowly shaped my scientific interest. I still very much recall the thrill in the research group that I joined during my master. They were working on a new theory in solid mechanics, and I gradually became part of it. In doing so, they provided me with a very rigorous scientific education, an education that enabled me to change subjects throughout my career, both in industry as well as in academia. Because science is dynamic, and curiosity never ends. At the turn of the century, my group was given a unique opportunity to change research fields, to go into something new, which was at the interface of engineering and science and biology. Basically, we set out to engineer living heart valves and blood vessels, a mesmerizing challenge. And at the beginning, we only had a vague idea how to move forward. All we had was our imagination. Yet today, the first clinical use of our technology is a fact. And many have contributed, and many things have happened along the way, including starting a new company. But first and foremost, the basis was the commitment of a team of incredibly talented students and scientists. And they shared a common dream and dared to explore yet unknown territory. And the team spanned across groups, departments, and even institutions. Apart from the research results themselves, much of what we have learned has now percolated into the curriculum that we teach. So why am I telling you that story? Although it's personal, it probably feels very familiar to many of you. We're all different. We all have our own dreams. We all have our own interests. And there's no one size fits all. But we share our passion for teaching, science, and engineering. Dear students, during your study, obviously courses are very important, but they're only part of the story. It's the enthusiasm of individuals, individual researchers, the personal attention that you get, and the interaction with fellow students that makes a difference. Face time. You learn so much, so quickly, when you're really engaged. And being involved in research is a wonderful way to achieve this. It teaches you to cope with uncertainties, to answer questions that do not have an answer yet, dare to move into unknown territory, and push the boundaries of our knowledge, step by step. It also teaches you to master complexity. And the complexity of many of the topics that we address today require a multidisciplinary collaboration. And collaboration, both internal and external, is in our DNA. It's symbolized by the walkways that connect our buildings. We like to team up, share knowledge, share labs, because together we are much, much stronger than the sum of the individuals. As engineers, we don't just want to know. We also want to use our knowledge and make things work. We design objects, systems, services, materials, and so forth. And a beautiful example of this can be seen when our student teams take out on a challenge to design or make something that sets new standards or breaks records. These teams always start out with ideas and ambitions that they can never fully deliver on, but they dare to begin. Many problems that seem overwhelming at first, later out, turn to be irrelevant. They're continuously making choices and taking decisions. All in all, not very different from the way we do research. And our student teams have had unprecedented success. In particular last year, the iGEM team won a gold medal for Best Innovation in Medicine. Stella Lux won the World Soda Challenge. And the first drone cafe, you've just seen it, of Blue Jay went viral. And recently, Tech United, again, won the World Championship RoboCup. Storm is out on an 80-day Jules Verne-like challenge on their electrical motorcycle. As I understand it, Minister Henkamp, himself a very active motorcyclist, has the latest on this, and so I'll leave that up to him. And this Saturday, the International Biosensor Competition, led by Sensors, will have its final showdown here in the auditorium. And you're all invited to join them. Now, implicitly, these unique achievements of our student teams reflect the ambitions and the capabilities of our university. And these ambitions have been formulated in our leading principles. And I will try to follow them, to summarize them as follows. We educate world-class engineers that are aware and take account of the social relevance and impact of their work. We provide our students with a personal, on-campus education, which is really an experience, and we do that by combining the magic of exploration, discovery, and design with a rigorous engineering education. And together, we form a caring and collaborative community that strives for excellence in teaching, research, and science, but always with dignity and respect for each other. So what's the challenge that we're facing? It's really exciting that so many young people are joining us at this university to pursue a career in engineering. And they're right. It's absolutely fascinating to be in engineering, more than ever before. You can make such a huge contribution to society. And we actually expect the number of students to double in a decade, from 7,000 in 2010 to almost 14,000 in 2020. Yet the budget will only increase by 20%. And that creates tension. We literally run out of space and time. And we all feel it. Our way to educate top-notch engineers requires individual mentoring and supervision. And this is possible only if the number of students is sufficiently small per staff member. Without intervention, our student-staff ratio will grow to 25 in 2020. And that's far above the OECD average of 15. It's also far above the ratio of our international engineering competitors. So we need to think this through and discuss what our priorities and limits are. But we will make the necessary choices to maintain our leading principles. But at the same time, engineering is more important than ever before. It offers compelling solutions to societal challenges. engineering is also at the core of the fourth industrial revolution that's unfolding today, driven by the convergence of digital, physical, material, and biological sciences. The fourth industrial revolution will have a profound impact on our society, job market, and economy. And it's exactly this convergence of technologies that's driving the strategic alliance with Utrecht University and the joint efforts with Wageningen UR. It provides unique scientific challenges and enables us to address these societal challenges from a broader perspective, such as in health, energy, and food. Advancing disciplinary know-how in engineering sciences forms the basis of the 4TU Federation. Now, the fourth industrial revolution is evolving at an incredible pace. And if society doesn't act swiftly, we will be faced with the consequences of this revolution, but will not benefit from it. In fact, we might lose the worldwide battle for jobs. Therefore, our government needs to reconsider its resources and foster engineering unequivocally as a source of economic growth and prosperity. And Brainport is an outstanding example, a world-class, high-tech engineering ecosystem with exceptional innovation capabilities. It has by far the highest private investments in R&D in our country. This ecosystem would gain momentum, competitiveness, and economic value if public investments would be increased to match, if not exceed, those of competing areas in Europe and indeed the world. Next to a much-needed increase in unrestricted funding, specific investments in public-private partnerships, such as our own and successful Impulse program, would be one way forward. Now, digital technologies play a pivotal role in the fourth industrial revolution. The digital technology is touching everyone, and it's a revolution that we have to join. And this is why today, Eindhoven University of Technology and all other universities in the Netherlands are launching a joint plan, Digital Society. It contributes to the National Research Agenda and is consistent with the VNO-NCW proposal, Netherlands Next Level. It's our dream to make our country leading in these new digital technologies. The Digital Society is also a catalyst for many research projects at our university, and indeed in this region. Digital technologies will be deeply integrated in future systems, products, and services, such as in smart industries, smart automotive systems, smart health systems, smart cities, and smart energy systems, to name but a few. And these are all topics of research at this university, where we can build on our unique experience in materials, high-tech systems, photonics, and data science, and the underpinning disciplines. This brings me to the final part of the dream, dare, and do catchphrase, the do part. Now, educating world-class engineers may well be the most important way we can serve society. But because our students participate in our research, it's also a very effective way to transfer our generic know-how. Specific know-how is being transferred in one-to-one collaborations with our private partners. But we should go beyond this. Our discoveries should not just end up in theses or high-impact journal papers. They should be turned into true innovations for the benefit of our society. We need to develop mechanisms to stimulate and accelerate this. And creating spin-offs like Flow ID that you just saw in the movie is an attractive, but not only way forward. If we really want a place where innovation starts, we need to encourage and enable our students, our graduates, and staff to take entrepreneurial initiatives and support them long-term. Dear colleagues, it will be a particularly challenging year ahead of us. We'll continue to innovate our teaching. There will be substantial challenges in the area of research, and there's some tough choices to be made. So we have to be active, enterprising, and above all, collegial. Meanwhile, to you, our students, our hope for the future, have your dreams, dare to realize them, challenge yourself, and make this a very exciting year together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rector, for your very inspiring words. Our first guest of today is someone from the public domain. Within his former positions as the Dutch Minister of Housing, Spatial Planning and the Environment, the Minister of Defense, and the Minister of Social Affairs and Environment, and his current position as the Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs, I can imagine there are many challenges he has faced. And I'm quite curious about these challenges and how he overcame them. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage Minister Henk Kamp.
Ladies and gentlemen, the rector already mentioned the STORM team. We've just spoken to the STORM team, and they told us that after a 10-hour wait, last night they've crossed the border into Kazakhstan. They had to call off their plans for Uzbekistan due to the death of President Karimov. But today they were able to visit Taras University in Kazakhstan, I was there last year, to show their electric motorcycle. For the locals, electric mobility is a novel concept, they told us. But for the students, of course, of the Taras University, it's not. They are full of admiration to their Dutch peers for embarking on this adventure. As Mr. Kooijman said, your theme today is Dream, Dare, Do. Our theme today is Dream, Dare, Do. And personally, I describe myself as a doer. But we couldn't do without dreamers like the members of the STORM team. Their dream was to ride an electric motorcycle around the world, spreading the word about electromobility and the end of the fossil fuel era. Sorry, Marjan. Of course, they are not just dreamers, they also dared and did. They built the STORM wave. They left Eindhoven on the 14th of August, and in 8 days' time, on the 13th of September, they'll arrive in China. And that's the kind of dream that gets you places. When the government took office in 2012, it faced major challenges. The main one was getting the economy back on track. One way of achieving this was by making better use of the cutting-edge knowledge in this country, so as to develop applications relevant to society, tap into new revenue streams and make the Netherlands more competitive. To achieve those goals, we need bold scientists and entrepreneurs working together to turn dreams into new products, services and revenue models. People, in short, like the STORM team. And for people like them, Eindhoven University of Technology is a hotbed for innovation. And your university is not alone in this regard. The Brainport Top Technology region brings together knowledge, manufacturing and open innovation. And this entire region is a stimulating, innovative environment for talent from all over the world. Talent that is crucial to the region's business community. It goes hand in hand, of course, with an internationally attractive business climate, with good amenities like international education. International education. I'm delighted to announce that the government has decided to support Eindhoven and the Brainport region in strengthening its international dimension. It's a decision that testifies to their special significance for our national earning capacity. This support will take the form of a contribution of 7 million euros from my ministry to further develop international education. Ladies and gentlemen, the government's efforts to tackle the economic crisis have been successful. In 2015, the Dutch economy grew by almost 2%, and similar growth is expected this year. In terms of size, it's back our economy where it was before the crisis, and we are back in the leading group in the Eurozone. The government is stimulating economic growth in many different ways. For instance, we are supporting companies, 23,000 companies, that want to innovate. Some of this is financial support, but we are also encouraging partnerships between businesses and the academic and research community. SMEs in particular have benefited from the government's initiatives, like the Future Fund. The Future Fund provides loans to innovative and rapidly growing startups and SMEs. And the Future Fund also helps finance research facilities, because research and innovation are essential to increase labor productivity and create new products and markets. And that's what we have to do if we want our economy to grow sustainably. The government has also worked hard to promote closer cooperation between public sector researchers and businesses, especially in the top sectors. One consequence is that businesses have invested more in public research. Our target for annual investment in public-private research partnerships was 500 million euros. But we achieved that easily, so I have now raised the target to 800 million euros. Businesses contribute about 40% of the investment, and most of the funding goes to universities and research institutions. Another key aim of the government was to get scientists and businesses to focus more on the economic and societal applicability of their research findings, which is exactly what the top sectors are increasingly doing. We also have a national science agenda, which identifies broader questions for scientific research. Questions that relate to societal challenges, like the need for energy saving and renewable energy, and that also contributes to economic growth. We've called this approach Global Challenges, Dutch Solutions. And a great example of successful public-private partnership is Photon Delta. This initiative could lead to a breakthrough in computer processing speeds and to substantial energy savings. So with a new technology, Photon Delta has the potential to provide new products and jobs, as well as to resolve societal challenges. And here in Eindhoven, you've shown time and again that partnership between businesses, research institutions and government delivers the best results. The Impulse program is a good example. Together with companies in your region, you invested 100 million euros in creating PhD places. And this enabled 278 people to set to work in long-term research programs. To provide more scope for this kind of initiative, an amendment to the top sector allowance scheme will shortly be presented to Parliament. It will enable research institutions to apply directly to the Netherlands Enterprise Agency for allowances from 2017 onwards, enhancing the scheme's bottom-up character. Your Eindhoven University looks to work not only with regional partners, but with international ones too. Later today, I will sign an agreement guaranteeing financing for the Holst Center for the coming years. Holst is another fine example of public-private partnership set up by the Netherlands Organization for Applied Scientific Research, TNO, and IMEC from Belgium. It's one of the showpieces of the BrainPod Top Technology region, and supported by the provincial authorities, very active provincial authority. Holst is working with scientists from Eindhoven University of Technology on new technologies in the field of wireless sensors and flexible electronics. And one of its findings is a plaster equipped with a heart rate sensor. This university is also yielding some interesting spin-offs, like Microsure, which is developing a platform for robot-assisted microsurgery. The stable platform filters vibrations so that a surgeon can stitch lymphatics with a diameter as small as 0.3 millimeters. Last week, Microsure received an innovation loan from the Future Fund. And an innovation loan is more than just money. It's a hallmark of quality that helps attract further investment. So congratulations to everyone involved. There are many more examples, but I think it's clear that Eindhoven University of Technology and the BrainPod Top Technology Region are important partners for the government in its efforts to make the Netherlands more innovative and more competitive. Information technologies underpin a lot of innovation and research. The digital transformation of society is racing ahead. Computers and related technologies play an ever more important role in our homes and in the workplace. Digital technology and robotics hold out the prospect of greater prosperity. To devise, make and maintain IT applications, we need many skilled technical professionals. And the government has made it a priority in recent years to attract more young people to the tech industry. The top sectors have drawn up human capital agendas to calculate their personal requirements and reach deals in which educational establishment and the business community train the workers of the future. They need to do it together. The National Technology Pact has a similar objective. It has brought together the worlds of business and education in regional partnerships to encourage school children and students to opt for scientific subjects and careers. And it has paid off. The number of engineering, technology and IT students is on the rise. Your university scores well on this point. For instance, you've teamed up with Tilburg University, the provincial authority, and the municipal authority in Den Bosch to train big data scientists. This month, bachelor's and master's programs will be launched at the new Hieronymus Academy of Data Science. And this region alone will soon need 300 big data scientists every year. So interest in technology careers is growing, but not fast enough. The year 2015 ended with 11,000 unfilled vacancies in the IT sector, 3,000 more than the previous year. We need to devote special attention to technology teachers. The shortage of science and technology teachers is growing. The education and business sector are joining forces to make teaching careers more attractive. In this region, they've launched a pilot scheme involving parallel careers, giving people the opportunity to pursue a career in education and in business at the same time. All the measures the government has taken to stimulate the economy and make better use of our country's knowledge have paid off. The Netherlands has risen to the position of innovation leader on the European Innovation Scoreboard this year. And our country is 5th in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Index. So the Netherlands is doing well, but we can't afford to rest on our laurels if we want to stay ahead. Other countries in the world are investing relatively more in knowledge and innovation. Our Dutch target, is to invest 2.5% of our gross domestic product in research and development, but we are not there yet. We are heading in the right direction and we hit the 2% mark, but it's not enough. As things stand, though, we need another 3.5 billion euros to reach our target. And that's an important thing for the next cabinet to realize. Investing isn't just about money. It's also about making innovation and knowledge development possible. Besides promoting partnerships and helping companies to access finance, that means providing the necessary scope for technological advances. Like drones, for instance, we saw them. They fall under the rules for modern aircraft, for model aircraft. But a drone is not a model aircraft, of course. And that means that because there were no special regulations, there were problems to develop new drones and new possibilities for drones. And that's why we are now creating new regulations on drones, though we always try to realize less rules. We think that new rules, especially for drones, are necessary at the moment. It's the job of government to ensure that regulations don't hold back technological innovation, so that companies and academia can do what they are good at: research, innovation and commerce. And that way we can ensure the Netherlands stays ahead, address the broader issues facing society and secure our standard of living. Eindhoven University of Technology has shown how academia can contribute to the sustainable economic development of the Netherlands by working together, unlocking knowledge and engaging with society. To all those who dream, dare and do, I look forward to your continued input. The STORM team, in any case, is showing the way to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Henkamp, for sharing your thoughts on the challenges you face as the Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs. We will now move from the public domain to science, and I'm sure our second guest speaker pursued quite a number of dreams in his career, both as a researcher and his former job as the president of the Royal Netherlands Academy of Arts and Sciences. I would like to invite you forward, Hans Klevers, to share the dreams you pursued in your career.
Excellency, Rector, dames en heren, but first and foremost, students of this fantastic university. A few months ago I was called by your rector, Professor Bayens, and he asked me to talk about science and reflect on the theme of today, Dream, Dare, Do. And he said, well, maybe you can tell us about your very, very rich scientific career. And by the way, you'll get less than 10 minutes to finish this whole story. So, obviously, this was a bit of a challenge, but I've actually done my best. I am actually from Eindhoven. I was born in Stratum to a real Philips family. We early on moved to Sonnenbreugel, where I grew up. Actually played a lot in the woods. I saw lots of living things there, and I really developed a taste and a passion for trying to understand what living things really are. And even at kindergarten, I already knew I was going to be a biologist. I followed primary school. In Somme, that school no longer exists. I then took the bridge for 6 years, this rotating hand-operated bridge that the young people probably don't know, but it used to be in between Son and Eindhoven. Went to the Van der Put Lyceum, finished VBO there. The bridge and that school also no longer exist. And in '75, I actually decided to study in Utrecht at the University of Utrecht. This morning, that university still existed, I can promise you. And I started biology. Now, I was actually very disappointed in this study. At that time, DNA technology had not yet reached the Netherlands. It was being invented mostly in the UK, in Cambridge, and in the US, in Boston, and on the West Coast. And without DNA technology, biology is a very descriptive science. It was mostly about learning Latin names of plants and Latin names of diseases and bacteria. Also, the lecture halls then were old. They were from the 19th century. In winter, we had to wear coats because the heating wasn't up to the standards. There were too many students. And to make things a little bit more interesting, I actually decided to take up medical school and combine both. And that turned out to be a good plan for my doctoral, as we called it. Master's is called now. I spent a few years abroad. We went to Washington, D.C., and I spent a year in Nairobi in Kenya. Learned a lot about science. After I finished biology, I did the medical rotations, and then I actually got lured away from the lab to the clinic. A lab, in my perception, tends to be usually involve a small group of people that have to work together for 3, 4, 5 years. Some you might like, some might have a taste for the wrong music, or they don't clean up behind themselves, or they use up something that you just want to use. Not very social environment. Jiskevet could do a fantastic sketch, I think, about life in a lab. And the clinic is very different. It is very social. You meet hundreds of people in a day. Actually, you solve several problems. At least it looks like you solve several problems every day. And in the lab, that's not the case. In the lab, most of the experiments, at least my experiments, would drop on the floor. And the ones that did work would show that my hypothesis was wrong. So it's very, very frustrating. And this actually made me think about a clinical career. And I found a training position in pediatrics in the Children's Hospital in Utrecht. And there actually I was rescued by the head of that hospital, because the head told me, why don't you do a year of research before you start with your pediatrics training? And so I almost betrayed my scientific dream, but I think I was rescued. And in that year, I actually set up my entire research program. I obtained a fellowship from a very obscure foundation called the Drie Lichten. The president of that foundation told me that if you don't tell the tax office, actually nobody will know. Actually, so it's now verjaard in Dutch, so I can now speak openly about this. And actually, I managed to publish 4 papers on my own, defended a thesis at the end of that year, and really found out that this is where my heart is. I want to be a scientist. Still, biology was not where it should be in Holland, and I found myself a postdoc at Harvard University in Boston, where we spent 4 years. And I must say, parts of the American system I liked a lot. So in America, these American universities have very early on realized that the most productive part of a scientist's career are the 30s or the 40s of a scientist. So you should not put people in a dependent position at the sort of the bottom of a hierarchy, sort of department, a department where the head of the department decides what's going on. We should make scientists independent very early on. This is called the principal investigator system, a PI system. I also learned that Harvard was not the place where I wanted to stay. I think that maybe at that time our university systems were not optimal, but the Dutch spirit, the Dutch cultural social spirit, I found superior to the Harvard American spirit in terms of collaborativeness, the distaste for hierarchy. I'm not sure if our former Minister of Defense would agree, but it is fantastic to have a hierarchy in an army, but I don't think it's fantastic to have a hierarchy in a lab. There, young people should actually be allowed to come up with their own dreams and pursue their own dreams. So when I wanted to return to Holland, I looked around and actually found that I was welcome with all my DNA experience in many different departments, but never as an independent scientist. I really had to work in the department on the dream that probably was defined 2 or 3 decades earlier by the current head of that department. I was lucky to have an American fellowship for another 2.5 years, so I negotiated with the Gerlach Serfontaine, who later moved on to become head of Schiphol, who had more of an entrepreneurial spirit. And he said, okay, you can come, you can be independent in the University Hospital in Utrecht, gave me a PhD student and a technician. We started working. We were lucky when I look back on the subject that we picked up, and after a few years we started publishing okay papers in okay journals, and then slowly my scientific career took off, but also for the people around me. A decade later, I felt that the University Hospital was not the best place for my research. I moved it across the street to the Hubrecht Institute, where Ronald Plasterk had just taken up directorships, and we're then the co-directors. The Hubrecht also knew this hierarchical structure, and we immediately changed this. So we made a very flat, transparent structure with PIs. Doesn't matter whether you're 35 or 65, you have the exact same position, you get the exact same support from the institute. The institute has fantastic machines, And the only way we recruit PIs is we look at, are they talented, are they ambitious, do they have passion, do they do something with DNA? Yes, so they can come to the Hubrecht. And that turned out to be quite easy. Actually, I think it fits very well with the Dutch spirit of being collaborative, being independent, being non-hierarchical. And within years, science in the Hubrecht really picked up scientific speed, and I think it's now one of the better institutes in Europe. Now, meanwhile, I think the academic world has changed. We now have in the Netherlands the Veni-Vidi system that MBO introduced. Europe has a very similar system that actually was introduced a little bit later. ERC, grants, also competitive. And with this system, as a young scientist, you can actually now very early on negotiate with the department or wherever you work, negotiate a position where you get money directly from MBO or directly from Europe and set up your own little research group. The stake is high, so you don't have to be you should not be afraid. There's a lot of competition, there is risk. If the proposed research fails, you can only blame yourself, but if the plans are a success, nobody else can actually claim what was discovered. It was done by you. And I think that's crucial for young creative people to actually be able to develop this yourself. So this is typically, was my dream there. I think it's now much more institutionalized, so many people can actually now do this. Now, I also don't believe that it matters what kind of research you pursue. There is no better or worse research. It can be basic, it can be applied, it can be science, it can be engineering. The most important thing is you can do it yourself and you can do it with passion. Now, Dutch science has become extremely successful compared to, I know all the numbers from my years at the Royal Academy, compared to any other country in the world. We are in the top 5, 6, whatever you look at. There is one big threat, already mentioned earlier by Professor Bayens. The past years have been tough on countries in the West. Our national research budget has been shrinking, which puts strain on the system. It is often said that publication pressure in Holland has become too high, and this would lead to burnout, and we've had some spectacular cases of scientific fraud in the past years. It was also blamed on publication pressure. I do not think that that is true. When I look around me at the more established scientists, we are all on tenured positions, vaste banen. We always have a little bit of hard money around us from our universities or institutions. If I look at my colleagues in the US, say at Stanford or Harvard, my colleagues there don't get a single dollar from their university. Every dollar they spend, including on their own salary, comes from grants. So they live in a maximally competitive system. If the grants run out, they are kindly asked to leave the university. I've seen this happen several times when I was at the Dana-Farber in Boston. Now, we established scientists definitely do not live in a competitive world like that. However, our young scientists, they do live in a world that resembles this very much. Our PhD students and postdocs are all on temporary contracts. That is okay. But more importantly, they are on temporary grant funding. If you have no discovery, you have no paper. No paper means no grant, and no grant means no job, much like our colleagues in the US. And the success rates in the Dutch granting system have really decreased a lot, and now in many cases are below 10%. And when a system like that goes below 10%, it becomes a bit of a random process. It becomes a bit of a tombola. Now, it is clear, already mentioned earlier, that the only remedy for this is to restore our research funding to internationally accepted levels. So the old scientists are fine, but the young people should see some security in the system that when they take the decision to become an engineer or a scientist, that actually they know if I do well, there is enough money for myself and for my dreams. And in my years at the Royal Academy, I have experienced that it is actually the Ministry of Economic Affairs rather than our own ministry, OCMW, Science and Education, that has been the major driver of trying to find, it was not easy trying to find new money for performing research. Now, I don't say this only because the minister is here, but this is actually, I say this from my heart. Now, Walt Disney, champion of dreams, has said, if you can dream it, you can do it. This, of course, comes with a healthy amount of dare. He didn't put a dare in between, but it's clear that he was also a person who dared to dare. It is now up to us in Holland, science establishment and politicians, the people here on the front row, that we ensure that we do not ask too much dare from our young future college colleagues. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Hans Klevers, for sharing the dreams you pursued in your career. Our third guest speaker of today graduated in 1989 as a chemical engineer at this university. After being the vice president of LNG and gas processing at Shell for 7 years, she was appointed as the president director of Shell Netherlands this year. As a student of this university, I'm looking forward to hearing about her path from a theory student to the presidency of Shell Netherlands. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marjan van Loon.
Now I'm going to test if the light goes with me or if I need to stand there. Yeah, it does. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Goedemiddag, Eindhoven. I am so honored as an alumna of this university to be standing on stage. When I was years ago, and you heard Roelof say many years ago, sitting on your seat, I never thought I would ever be asked to stand on stage and actually share my path with you, but very happy to do so, and especially with this theme of today, Dream, Dare, Do. I think it's very inspirational. For an engineer, it might sound like a formula. You just make up your mind what you're dreaming about, what you want to do. You gather the courage, and then you do it. And out comes result and hopefully success. To me, I think it's not a formula. It's a mindset, or it's an attitude. When I sat on that chair many years ago, I came from a warm family, growing up in Helmond. Very glad to know that the mayor is here. And actually, sitting there, I was quite a bit nervous because the big adventure ahead of me. I wasn't sure I had chosen the right study. After Helmond, Eindhoven is a large metropole. And of course, I was looking forward to all the pubs and all the social life, but also living there independently was quite a challenge. I also saw only when I was sitting there that there were only a few girls in the room. Luckily, today that's much better. So quite an adventure. But I went on the path and I found out, especially in the later years of my study, that I really enjoyed it. I liked knowing what to do with technology. Where could you apply it? After my study, I joined Shell, and also people that knew me from that time were a bit surprised I did that, because first of all, I'm a real Brabo or Brabander, so going all the way to The Hague is quite a step. And also Shell at that time, and I think still at this time, is quite an abstract large company. Has a strong brand, a pectin, but what's behind that pectin? Large stories of we only hire the best and we solve the world's problems. It was quite difficult for me to see how I would fit in and if I would actually like to do that. But I did it. I was sufficiently curious to find out if there would be a fit and if I would like working there. After a few years in the head office in The Hague, I went to Pernis Refinery, as they say, to get your hands dirty. That's also quite a step, because if you work in an office, computers, papers, it's different than actually going to a plant where they expect from you to solve the problems that the operators that have been there for their whole life don't know how to solve. And you should solve them today. They want the answer this afternoon. So I thought that also was quite daring to get into, and I really was amazed how much I enjoyed it. Because every night when you went home, you knew you made a difference. Maybe the answer wasn't 100% right, but it was 80% right, and the operators and the plant was happy to keep progressing. After Pernis, we moved as a family to Australia. We went to a real outback region in the northwest of Australia. Had small kids at that time. My son was born with flying doctors, so you can imagine a bit the scene where we were getting ourselves into. So also there, for me to take that step, I had dreamt earlier as a teenager that I wanted to be a mom of a large family, and maybe I would do a bit of work on the side. And if I would really get a bit nervous, I might do an MBA. But in the end, I moved to Australia because I wanted to see Australia. I wanted to work internationally, and I think encouraged by my husband, who said, you can always try it, and if you don't like it, you can always quit. I really went for it and thought I'll give it a try. I worked at one of the most modern plants I think I have seen. It's a plant where gas that they find offshore Australia is piped to that onshore production plant. They clean it up, liquefy it at minus 160 degrees C, such that it becomes a liquid, and you can actually then ship it to the market, which at those years was Japan. We stayed there for 7.5 years, so I did nearly every job on the plant and really thoroughly enjoyed living in Australia. After that, we moved to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, completely different environment again. And then in 2007, we moved back to the Netherlands, where I became internationally responsible for the LNG business, at least the technical part. So you might say, okay, you've seen the world and you have pushed horizons, and you might think about that in geographical terms. You see a lot of the world also when you work internationally. Technically, I've seen a lot of different plants and worked on a lot of problems, but I think the most interesting was the personal journey. I think a lot of the students nowadays have already traveled quite a lot, and I think you will understand if I say that if you meet other people and you actually visit countries, you see new cultures, but actually you also explore your own norms and values. If you hear about how they do it in Australia, what people think about global issues, how they treat each other, then you actually look in a mirror and you see that, hey, what's my opinion about it? I thought everyone in the world was thinking about it the way we do it in the Netherlands. So I found that personal journey the most interesting one. And what you saw is that during the career, you were changing because you tried to adopt the good things from Holland, but also adopt the nice things and amazing things that you learn from others. Until last year, as Roelof said, I was responsible for technical development in liquefied natural gas. And this is one of the things I think Dream, Dare, Do really illustrates. Already for 10 years, people were dreaming to not pipe the gas to an onshore plant, but to actually bring the plant to where you would find the gas. And this is the project that we're building at the moment in Goje, Korea, which will make that happen. It was a journey as well, because it's like 3 industries that need to come together. I was used to the process engineering industry of building onshore plants, but we had to cooperate with the upstream offshore industry that was designing platforms, but also with the marine industry. And all industries already have decades or centuries of history with their own ways of doing, with their own standards, and we had to cooperate together to generate something completely new. So since January, I'm President Director of the Netherlands, and the most asked question is, what do you actually do? Which is a good question. So I'm responsible for supporting all our business activities in the Netherlands. Shell is quite big in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands is quite big for Shell. Nearly everything we do internationally, we do in Holland. Chemical plants, refining, we have a wind park, retail, gas production, innovation centers. So it's quite a job to look after that, and especially the interface with society in its widest form. All our partners, universities, but also other companies, communities that are living around our plants. It's all in the job. But I have a very nice special agenda, and that is energy transition, and actually accelerating energy transition in the Netherlands and also within Shell, the Netherlands. We have been tendering on offshore wind projects. Not successful yet, Henk, but we will be there. We have introduced LNG for transport to replace diesel and gas oils for trucks and ships with that LNG fuel that you just heard about, which gives 20% less CO2 emission. And you can already use that today. Residual heat from Pernis is going to be piped to the Rotterdam city. So it's a very nice portfolio, and I really enjoy that I can be active in that. For me, it's the dream, dare, and do. It's the desire to discover. I would like to use a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. A woman is like a tea bag, and you only realize how strong she is until you put her in hot water. And I want you to forget the woman bit, because I think it's true for everyone. This is about a call to test yourself in challenging circumstances. It's to find new opportunities and explore your talents. Maybe you could get from my story, it might not be find opportunities, but for me it was more grasp opportunities that came on the way. I'm a person that likes to stay in my comfort zone. I like to be happy today. I'm quite satisfied with where I am. But if that opportunity comes along, I'm sufficiently curious to grab it and see what's going, and what I can learn from it. I also think that mindset is a mindset that we need as society, and especially for this energy transition agenda. If you look at the Netherlands, you might think we're nearly there. People talk about solar panels. I have them on my house as well, ordering a Tesla, and we think we're nearly there. But you read the newspapers as well, and we have a long way to travel, and we need to speed up. We need to accelerate. It's not only about power generation. We will be able to do that. We will build offshore wind farms, solar panels. But it's also about making our transport emit less CO2. Our industry that needs high temperature heat to produce our products, plastic, steel, concrete. Do we have solutions for that? How do we heat our buildings without fossil fuels? There's a lot to do, and we don't have all the answers. For years, maybe decades, we will need to innovate. That's the Dutch situation. Think about the global situation. There are countries that are trying to rise out of poverty. They want to give welfare, well-being to their population. They need energy for that. Population is growing. Those two elements, increase of standard of living, growth of population, are estimated to increase the demand for energy by 70% or maybe double it. So the world needs more energy, and we need far less CO2. How are we going to solve that? We need people, youngsters, new generations that push barriers, find new grounds, new solutions. So for me, dream, dare, do is indispensable if we all want to progress. That's also why we support excellence in technical education, combined with that curiosity and that stimulation to discover. It's no coincidence that we are organizing a technical festival in The Hague in the first week of October that's called Discover. Between 1 and 5 of October, there's a festival on the Malieveld. It's free entry, you're all invited. And the goal is to inspire young people around technology. For the youngsters, there will be things to feel and see. For the teenagers, energy lab. And for you, there will be inspiring new technologies and a lot of people to meet and discuss your ideas. So wrapping up, for me, dream, dare, do, it's not a formula. It's looking for your own personal growth, for technical excellence. It's for the solutions for society, and you play a role. Failure will be part of that. If you don't push your boundaries, you won't fail. But if you fail, then you can learn. So as long as you're willing to learn, keep going. With this, I wish you inspiring dreams, the courage to dare, and a lot of strength to do. Thank you.
Thank you for your very inspiring talk, Marjan van Loon. Excellent education is the best start for someone's dreams to be realized. Without the high quality of education at this university, students won't dare to realize their dreams. Also this year, we have asked students to select the best bachelor's and the best master's teacher. And I would like to invite our Rector Magnificus, Frank Bayens, once again to the stage to hand out the educational awards.
Educational awards. Maybe we should add a couple of awards because I think we have seen some amazing lectures today. Very inspiring, and they would deserve an award themselves. But anyway, this is about educational awards at this university, and they go to the best lecturers both at the bachelor level and the master level. Because good teaching should really be awarded. And good lectures should be put in the spotlight. And we've just seen it, what happens if you put someone in the spotlight. Beautiful. It's a tradition of our university to present these awards during the opening ceremony for this new academic year. The way it goes is that our students nominate one lecturer in each program in the bachelor and the master phase. And these nominations were then assessed by a jury of representatives from the study associations that you see here for your at the right-hand side of the hall. And together with Patrick Groothuis, we give them some guidance. Clearly, the jury members always have an almost impossible task to pick out the best, because the nominations are really outstanding teachers. But I will begin with the nominees of the bachelor programs, and bear in mind the names that you'll see are the nominees. I will announce the winner thereafter. I read the names in alphabetical order, and the winner thereafter. Lambert van Bremen. His name should be popping up somehow. Remco Dijkman, René van Donkelaar, Bart Hengeveld, Paul van den Hof, Bart Jansen, Harry Jansen, René Jansen. The difference is in the S, 1 or 2. Hans Sterk, Ruben Trielink, and Wijnand IJsselstein. So who will be the winner? I won't keep you in suspense a lot more. So the best bachelor lecturer at Eindhoven University in 2016 is Ruben Trielink. Ruben, please join me on stage. Ruben Trielink is from the group of Turbulence and Vortex Dynamics in the Department of Applied Physics. Please find the spotlight, I would say. Great. Let's listen to what the jury has said about you. Mr. Trielink, this is a quote, so I read it exactly what they said. Mr. Trielink inspires students to follow their dreams, but shows that a solid foundation is always needed to succeed. He lets students plan their own dreams and brings them in contact with people needed to fulfill those dreams. Well, that's a perfect fit with the theme of today, right? So the jury continues, he knows, like no other, how to effectively use clickers. And he succeeds, the students are laughing. Does he do it? He uses the clickers in various ways to attract more students in his lecture. For example, by using suggestions and ideas from the students themselves to fit their learning style. His commitment to helping students is perhaps best reflected by the fact that he's also a student advisor in the Department of Applied Physics. As a student advisor, he is open to students and always makes time to have a personal meeting with one if desired. Well, I think it's a fantastic report. And I will give you, here it is. The check. Congratulations. Wonderful. And the flowers. Are you satisfied? Okay. Oh, and oorkonde. Now you have an issue. Good. I will help you. Shall we put this here? I'll take.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. You want to have it? You can do this later on. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Congratulations again. He'll get the 5,000 euros, no worry. We now move to the best master lecturer at our university. And again, I'll read the names of the nominees first. René van Donkelaar, Georg Fletcher, Joep Frens, Sarah Gelper, Paul Koenraad, Tanja Lange, Johan Padding, Henny Romein, Ramiro Serra, Akker Suiker en Gert Witvoet. You're all there, right? These are the nominees. And the winner of the best master lecturer at our university in 2016 is Tanja Lange. Where's Tanja? Tanja is a professor of cryptology from the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science, and she got the award because of her course on cryptology. Please. The spotlight is yours. This is what the jury said about you. Her contagious enthusiasm and the stories she tells from her subject enable students to pass this difficult course. Also, her capacity to put crypto systems into practice and her ability to discover holes in them means these lectures are quite interactive. Despite the large group, she knows many students personally. And to inspire students, Tanja often invites other researchers to talk about their projects and work. So this is the judgment of the jury. But there's no better way to explain why we need teachers who excel in science and teaching. And probably you're a very good example of that. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah. I got it. Yeah. You got it? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ja, de oorkonde. Now we have a... She'll give you the... Yeah. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So these were the winners of our educational awards. The academic session is almost over. But before I conclude, a few words of thanks. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to Roland Kooijmans and his team for organizing this meeting. So we have a very special system here in Eindhoven. Actually, the students are organizing the opening of the academic year. We help you a little bit, but it's your thing. So thank you very much. I also would like to thank our outstanding speakers of this afternoon, Henk Kamp, Marjan Verloon, and Hans Klevers. It was a true inspiration to see you talking here, and I hope to see you back at this university more often. We're going to close the whole ceremony with a movie. And that will start after I've said a few more things. So the movie will start, you'll watch the movie, and then I suggest that you follow the procession, and then we go out and have a drink outside of this hall. There's a party, of course, with a DJ. There will be lots of fun. There's also a somewhat quieter setting where we can have a chat if you like. But I'm quite sure I'll be attending both events. And to our students, please be in the lecture hall tomorrow at 8:45. Okay? Thank you all for coming, and have a good day.
The TUE is a place where there's room for personal development as well as for your studies. My personality has developed a lot here, and it means a lot to me.
To me, is a place to study, to grow. It's a place where people come together. The TUI means a lot to me because I follow my major there, which is the biggest part of my life. I spend there studying or talking to friends or doing sports.
Most of the time I spent in the Flux building.
There's a lot of study accommodation here where you can really concentrate and focus on your upcoming exams.
They have a supermarket here so you can have lunch with your friends.
The special thing about the TUI is that people are really close to you.
So I see it as a step towards my future career and the life I want to have.
The TUI campus is just a really nice small campus.